loyal follower and listener.
Yeah, no problem. I let me intro and then we can continue to talk. Just so this would be great to have on the podcast and then sort of flow into it. But all right, so let me intro. All right, I'm not as good as you guys are, but I've only done one episode. So
What makes you think we're good? We don't know what we're doing. We wing it.
all right, let's go. All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Knowledge is Power podcast. I'm your host, Max Willett, and today I have a very special guest, Jonathan Bloom of the Daddy Issues podcast and Bloom and Freeling attorney at law. He is on today to talk about his wonderful business and how he got started and his story. And yeah, so thanks for coming today. We were just talking about how I sort of met you guys. I'm a loyal listener of the Daddy Issues podcast. I must admit that I have not finished the Patreon episode from yesterday.
It's okay.
I know.
It's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, so I had sent them some 3D printed nightlight and some phone stands. So that's sort of how I got introduced to them with a letter. And they were very gracious enough to, give me a shout out on their Patreon. And Bronson was able to respond to my DMs, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and let you talk a little bit there. But
No, listen, we love you and all our followers and viewers, and we like to make it very intimate and genuine, sincere, and we appreciate the OG people. So if we have the time, I mean, look, it's now 10 after 9. I'm sitting doing work, and I made time to do this because we care about our peeps, what I call our daddy issues family, so to speak. So it's all good. It's all good, brother.
yeah,
How old are you, Max?
I'm 19.
Oh, you're a baby. And my youngest is
Yeah.
your age. All
Yeah.
right. And where are you living? Where do you live?
I live in Charlestown, Rhode Island.
All right, very nice. Very nice.
So yeah, so on TikTok, I'm 3D printed. So that's how I first got introduced to you guys, was through TikTok, because
Right.
I'm pretty sure a couple of your videos blew up. And then um, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I agreed with a lot of what both of you were saying. So I figured I'd give it a listen. And you guys have a great podcast. Great to hear both of your views, especially from Braun, who's on the younger generation. You really don't hear a lot of young people like that talk about those sort of issues and what's going on. So I think it's a breath of fresh air. Excuse me. And especially you, who still has the values of working hard, and uh, which is sort of unfortunately hard to come by these days.
It really is. It is unfortunate, but what are you going to do? We just got to keep pushing through and keep persevering.
Yeah. So basically, just what I'd like to talk about today is your business, your law firm, I guess. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about your backstory, how you got into it, where you went to college and stuff like that.
Sure. So I'm in my mid 50s. I've been practicing law. Give you a little background. I've been practicing law for about 30 years now. I came to Florida about about almost 27 years ago. And my whole life, I grown up in a typical Northeast Jewish household. They were gonna have one lawyer in the family, so I wasn't. I guess I was it. So I don't know if I was always wanted to be a lawyer, or if my parents just said, "You're a lawyer, you're gonna be a lawyer," and then I became a lawyer. So, but it worked out well. I mean, I'm good at what I do, and I work a lot, which I don't mind, but I'm good at what I do. So, I became a lawyer, and I started up in New York. I graduated, went to law school, finished law school, took the bar, passed my first time, thank God. And then I worked with a very, very large firm in Long Island, New York. And then I worked there for about 3 years. And then went to interview I wanted more money. So I interviewed with another firm in Midtown Manhattan, but I went from like 225 lawyers to 2 lawyers. And that was a mistake because it was like going from a huge place to, there were 8 of us as the incoming newbies, and we all, would hang out. And it was, I was doing a lot of litigation, and it was fun. And it was just a huge office. And setup to a very small firm with just two lawyers and myself, and both those guys were like my age at the time, and I was 26 or 27, and I was working Manhattan, getting home every night after like 12:30, and I was miserable. I mean, miserable. And I was not, and I am not a person that I don't mind work. I don't, doesn't bother me. And I'm not a depressed kind of person. But when I came home every night late from the office, I would stay up till 2 in the morning just so the next day wouldn't come around. I get back on the train. I was like, do you allow swearing on your podcast or no swearing?
Eh, I mean, not really, but
All
you
right.
can
So
swear. You're awesome, so you can do whatever you want.
I'm not going to swear then, because in my podcast, I say whatever I want, but
Yeah.
I'll be professional.
To be honest with you, my grandmother is probably going to listen to this. So
We don't want your grandma. Hi, grandma. How are you? So then I started working. It's an interesting story. So then I would stay up late when I got home because I just was like depressed. I was miserable. So I started after about 3 months working for that firm of being miserable. I started interviewing for another firm, and it was a firm in Midtown Manhattan, about size of 45 lawyers, maybe like another 75 support staff. So it was like a good size, and they would wine and dine me. They took me and my wife out for dinner. They had an office in California, an office in Midtown Manhattan, and I was always and I met the partners, and I was very excited, and 3 different interviews and so forth. And like, we're gonna hire you. So I'm like, yes. It was like, I'm 27. I was a baby at the time. So they're gonna hire me. So I'm very excited. So my wife and I, it was we go to buy a little co-op for this is like 27 years ago. We go to buy a car. We put down a $7,500 deposit. And then after, it's like on a Thursday, my wife and I live in Long Island. We're just kids at the time, and we go ahead, and I mean, it's a great story. So we closing on our co-op on Monday. Friday, we get a phone call from the partner in the Manhattan office saying, we want to hire you, but the senior partner in California says we have a hiring freeze right now. I'm like, oh my God. I was so upset. We're supposed to close this little co-op on Monday. We had no money, my wife and I. We had whatever money we saved a little bit from our wedding and everything else. But I was so discouraged. And my wife was talking about wanting to move to Florida for many years. And I really didn't want to take another bar exam. I was licensed in Connecticut, New York. I'm like, you have to, imagine being out of school for 4 years and going back and have to take a bar exam after work. You're like, I don't want to do it again. So I was so depressed that Sunday morning, the day before it's supposed to close on this little co-op, I just woke up and said to my wife, I go, you know what? I'm done. Let's quit our jobs. Let's move to Florida. And she goes, what? And I go, yeah, let's just do it. What's the worst? We're 27. We can always come back. We can always get a job in New York. So that next morning, which is a Monday, we don't close on the co-op. We both quit our jobs. A week later, we moved to Florida. Just packed up and moved. So I started my own business because I wasn't yet licensed in the state of Florida. I started my own business. So I would, and I'm going to tell you this for a reason in a moment. So, we had our phones transferred. The New York numbers are transferred now to Florida. We're living in Florida. We had one car. We had no money. So within Florida now. I started business. We find out my wife is pregnant with Bronson. So that adds more stress to me. I'm like sort of freaking out. And so when we move, we had one car. I'm starting my business, working until 9 o'clock every night with this business because I'm not licensed yet to practice law. From 9 to midnight every night, I study for the bar exam. About 3 weeks after being here in Florida, the phone numbers, as I told you, were transferred. I get a phone call to our little apartment that we rented in Boynton Beach. And it's the lawyer from New York, not knowing I already moved because the phone's forwarded. He goes, guess what, Jonathan? I go, what? He goes, we're ready to hire you. I go, 3 weeks too late. I already moved to Florida. And it's funny how things happen because if I didn't move, I would have been working in Manhattan and whatever. And it would have been fine. But this, I think, is a much better lifestyle. And, 27 years later, knock on wood, it worked out fine. But it was a lot of hard work, a lot of perseverance, a lot of stress. Sometimes you doubt yourself, and that's when you got to pick yourself up. But it was a tough time. But thankfully, it all worked out well. It all worked out well.
Wow, that's awesome. That's an awesome story because Florida is I think it's a great state. Only thing keeping me
Me
back from
too.
wanting to move down there is snakes and spiders and things that can kill you.
Where do you get that from?
Uh,
That doesn't exist here.
I've been there like 5 or 6 times. I don't know. I have family that lives in
Where?
near Orlando. So I
No,
don't know.
Max. There's no there's no there's nothing like that. I've been there for 27 years. I don't want to jinx
Yeah.
myself, but no, when I came from New York, I thought there were alligators and all that stuff. No, no.
Because it's
It's
like,
safe.
yeah.
It's plenty
I'm
safe.
Yeah. I mean, I think the number one, Rhode Island is like nothing other than cars that can kill you, really. So, uh, but
Well, it is cold there, but don't they have beautiful homes in Rhode Island? Those big Victorian homes, don't they have
yeah,
those?
over in Newport, and there's
Isn't
some
my
nice
dad?
houses. And what actually, Jay Leno lives in Newport, like 9 months out of the year. So,
Oh, nice,
yeah, yeah. So it's
nice.
a beautiful
Yeah,
state.
no, Newport. Listen, it's nice. It's very pretty and very nice. Nothing wrong. It does get cold, right? It gets very cold there.
It's 40 degrees out right now.
Oh, not in a billion years, brother. Not in a billion years would I ever do it. No
We did get
way.
some snow flurries today.
Oh my God. I mean, literally, it is the nicest living here. South Florida is amazing. So I'm very blessed to be here.
Yeah. I've only been to Florida like during the summer, so it's really humid, but I know that during the winter months it's beautiful every day. So, I would love to get there during, around Christmas or January or something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
still even now, even in mid-April, end of April, it's beautiful. We've had a very good season. And living here, your blood thins, so you don't mind the heat. It's not so bad. Plus, we travel in the summer, and I
Mm,
mean, I don't know. I just think it's the best. I think there's no better place. I've traveled all over the world. I mean, all over, and my kids have been all over the world, and we all agree this is the best place to be.
wow.
But
What
you let us know.
oh,
Come here,
excuse
you
me.
let us know, brother. You always have a place to stay. We always have room for you.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, cuz I got family in like in Lake Helen up there,
That's
or
further. That
yeah.
that's a little different. We live in a much more metropolitan area than that area. Like it's not that one's better than the other. That's a little more rural. It's
Mm.
a different kind of mentality than where we are. We're like a suburb of, Boca, Miami. These are major cities.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I say all the snakes and stuff was because I went golfing with my uncle once. And, up here, when you go golfing, you just walk in the woods and grab your ball. And it's like,
Oh no, you don't do that
yeah.
here. No, you don't
Yeah.
do that here.
He's like, I was about to do it. And he goes, whoa, stop, stop. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah,
But to me, listen, a golf ball is $4. I would leave the thing and drop a ball. It's not worth my time.
that's, yeah. I mean, when you compare $4 to death, that's, nothing. But like, that's $4 for a broke college student. That's like, that's a lot of golf balls, especially somebody who's like a 17 handicap like me. And, you know, it's so I think I might risk, or I could just get one of those ball grabber things.
Right. But
Yes.
I wouldn't even, no matter where I was, whether it was or were, if even if I were up in, let's say, New York or whatever, I would not move rocks or leaves for unless I had a big stick, because you don't know what's underneath those things. I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a hunter. I like to fish. So, during the winter, I'm usually in the woods a lot. But it's nice. Like like when I'm deer hunting, I just go sit up against a tree. It's a winter, so nothing will bother you during the winter. But turkey hunters are usually where it gets sketchy because that's like now is turkey hunting season. So,
So it's funny you say so. I've done a lot of outdoors. I hiked Machu Picchu. I've hiked Kilimanjaro. So I slept in tents. For 9 days without showering and no
yeah,
bed.
I haven't done that.
So I've done that. But so my first time, I even jumped out of an airplane. I've done extreme snowmobiling in avalanche territory with beacons on and everything. But the first time ever, I'm going with a group of 15 guys hunting December 1st for a week. I've never done that before. It'll be interesting. I've never done it. It'll be very interesting.
Where are
I'm
you
looking
going?
place in Kansas somewhere. It's
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's a whole big ordeal. It's like
Is it
5,000. What?
is it on like a reserve? Like it's a
Yeah,
like
yes,
okay.
yes. So it's but it'll be interesting because my buddy I'm going was a huge hunter. He sent me a picture of his office. He must have like 60 heads of deer on his. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I gotta like you sit for 12 hours in a box, by yourself and everything, and it'll be interesting. I've never, and I have a lot of. I'm not one to sit still too easily, so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
Yeah. It's so funny because I just said this quote earlier today. It's like patience is a virtue, but knowing when to be patient is more important because life is too short to be patient all the time.
I agree. I'm
But
not one to sit still, so
yeah,
it's out of my comfort zone, which I like doing things that to test my limits to see what I can endure or cannot endure. So I figured, you know what? Screw it. Why not? I got invited. Let me go with
yeah.
the guys and make some new friends.
Well, I'll tell you what, like sitting out in the middle of the woods and hearing nothing but the wind and the animals is like nothing else. Like my dad's from northern Maine, and I was up there during February vacation back in high school when they had it, and I went for a walk. I went snowshoeing, and there's like 3 feet of snow, out there. Excuse me, and I just stood there for a second and I just heard like there's a river and the wind and it was just amazing and there's nothing beats that, like it's just awesome.
Why not?
So
Where you going? Wait, hold. Did you ever meet my wife? Come meet my wife. Come on
I
in.
seen her on the podcast.
There she is.
Hi.
There's
Hi.
Max.
How you doing?
Hi. I am so sorry to interrupt. I was just trying to get something
That's
What are you
from the
okay.
doing?
room he's in.
That's
How
a-
are you?
Good. How are you?
So
I'm good.
Max.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's all right. So Max.
No, it's all right.
Nice young gentleman, 19-year-old. So I go, do you allow swearing? And he goes, no, my grandma's probably gonna watch.
Who's here?
Oh,
It's Banksy.
It's
but-
Banksy.
Banks. Oh my God.
Okay.
I have a boxer shepherd mix he's smaller, but his face is like exactly the same.
Oh, look at these puppies. They're so, all they want is love.
Yeah.
All right,
He's
I'm
really
I'm
calm.
so sorry to interrupt,
an
but
idiot,
really
though.
nice to meet you.
Look at him. Look at him.
Same to you.
right. What are you getting, babe? More stuff? All right. All right. So I'm back, Max. So by the way, so another thing that makes a man very successful is having a woman like that.
Wow. Yeah.
Seriously. They motivate you.
Yeah.
They push you, they motivate you, they want certain things. And plus, when they're really cute like that, you don't mind doing it.
Oh man. Yeah. That's awesome. But yeah, so I actually had a interesting question for you. On my last episode, I discussed
You mean your first episode?
yeah, well, my first episode, yeah. My last episode, yeah.
I like
first
it because
episode.
I'm a second one. You're funny. I'm just
Yes.
busting your chops. I'm
Yes,
just
first
busting your chops, guy.
yes.
But
Well,
it sounds but Max, it sounds professional. My last episode, so that was good. I'm proud of you.
yeah. Thank you. But we were discussing the value of a college degree. And as a lawyer, obviously you need that to be a lawyer. But in today's society, you have people like Mike Rowe, if you know who that is, the dirty jobs guy who's pushing for, learning trades and things like that. Do you think that it is absolutely necessary for you to you need to get a college degree to be successful in, today?
Okay. I that's a very good question, and there's a lot of different components to that. So I'm going to give I'm going to give a couple different views on it. All right. Personally, so let me say this: not everybody's cut out for college, right? Not everybody's cut out for college. So I don't think everybody needs to go to college because some people just are not meant for it, and some people are meant for more trade schools and so forth. So it depends on the individual person. But I'm going to speak as a generalization. Okay. I think like in my household, college is no choice. I mean, there's no choice. You are going to college. I think education is the key, is a very important aspect to success. and power. No one can ever take education away from you. It's a huge thing. Do I think college is a waste of money? Yes. But do I think it's a necessary evil? Yes, I do. And if economics is an issue, is an issue, you can go to state schools. You can take school at night. You can do online classes to get your degree. So there's different ways. However, um, if you want to get in the building, to start building your career, I do think that you're going to get a better initial job and paying job by having a college degree. And I think that, as I said, they'll never take it away from you. And while you're young, you do it. So I'm a firm believer in education. All my kids went to private schools. All my kids went to college. Um, I do agree for like law school or medical school, or you want to be a lawyer, doctor, an accountant, or things like that. Then yes, you definitely need undergrad and graduate school. However, I think it's like I said, a necessary evil. Um, kids should have it. Work hard. Um, and I just think society requires it. So I would not discourage people from not going to college. I would encourage people to go to college. And if you believe in, even though it's expensive, you believe in yourself, and if you can't afford it, you get financial aid, and you do it, or you work during the day and you go to school at night. Nothing's easy, but if you believe in yourself, you have to invest in yourself, and not be a victim. I hate the victim mentality. I hate the victim mentality. That's the big problem with our society. Especially your generation is so entitled, and the poor me and the woulda, coulda, shoulda mentality. College, a lot of kids use it for partying. Um, do I think my three boys would be the same if they didn't go to college? I do. I think um, I overpaid for them to go to these private institutions where I think they could have gotten the same education for going to a state school for half the price. But unfortunately, they need it to get to where they want to be. And a big part of the Jewish culture is education. So it's all, it's what we know, it's what we preach to our family and our children. So there's no discussion. All my kids knew since the day they were babies, they were going to college. And I think that the kids today, if you have an opportunity to go to college, you 110% go to college. It helps you learn, it helps you deal with life, it helps you be in your own, it helps you grow up, it helps you with responsibility. It helps you with being, an adult where you are, you're faced with many different decisions, and whether you're going to party or not party, go to school, go to class, learn to be on your own, even doing your own laundry, things that, you're out of the house. I think it's an important aspect of growing up, and it's a right. I think it's a rite of passage for 18 to 22-year-olds to experience and have somewhat of fun and have that college experience. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of having to go to college, but I also sometimes think it is a waste for what these kids use it for. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
No, yeah, that totally does. Because on my first episode, the answer to
Or your last.
or my last,
Say your last. It sounds better.
my last episode, my guest, his name's Kurt. He has a fish tank company, but he said it's not, a lot of times it's not what you learn in college, it's who you meet. And he said for his profession, at least, he would have gotten ahead in his business if he had stayed in college, because of the people he'd meet, the alumni, the professors, and other connections he could have gotten throughout the campus. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
So, you do hear that. So you do hear the aspect of, you know, the friends you make and things like that in college. So, I don't know if that's necessarily true, because it's college. You know what I'm saying? It's 4 years of your life. A lot of kids use to party. Could you make acquaintances and people you can come into contact with that help? The answer is yes. But I think if you have an aggressive, outgoing personality, you're going to do that anywhere through whatever you do with networking and your social skills when you're out there in the workforce or just socializing. Um, it can't hurt, but look, my one of my three top closest friends are still from college. You spend a lot of time, so we are close. But college didn't help me with business. It didn't help me get to where I want to be. Not where I want to be, help me get to the position where I am in that regard. but I think it's all part of the journey. So I mean, it's not like there's one thing that made me get to where I am. It's not one thing that made me successful or the issues you have in life. I think it's like a cake. There's so many ingredients that go into it that without the one ingredient, the cake doesn't taste great or it doesn't rise in the oven. So I
Mhm.
think where you end up in life, there's so many factors and things, some within your control, some things not within your control. The good and the bad make up who you are. And God, it's the journey and that gets you to these points. So college was great. Um, I went to one school and then transferred out. So I went to American my sophomore year and it was great. And so I went to Skidmore College my first year because I was a big skier. And it was about 40 minutes from my parents' house in Vermont. And it was a small school. I came from a very small high school, like 200 kids in my graduating class. I'm sorry, 112 kids in my graduating class. So I went to a small school. Skidmore had like 2,500 people in the school. And I don't do drugs. I never did drugs. And you want to live on campus in a small school like that in upstate New York in Saratoga Springs. But there was one campus off. There was one dormitory off campus in the town. So sophomore, I applied early decision, got into Skidmore. I was not on financial aid. My parents paid full, for me to go. But ironically, sophomore year, for some reason through the lottery, I was chosen to go on this dorm off campus. And I didn't want to be, and it was known as the pothead dorm. And I'm like, I don't want to be on this. It's a small school. I want to be on campus. I don't want to be in a dorm with potheads. So I said, and like, well, there's nothing we can do. So I met with the dean. And I liked Skidmore, but I was bored. But what you don't know doesn't hurt. Like, I didn't know anything. I came from a small high school of 400 kids to a college that was 2,500 kids. So I figure if you're bored and there's not much to do there, it's what college is. I was the first one to go away in my family off to college. So, and I have two older brothers. So I had nothing to compare it to. So I meet with the dean of the school and I say, I don't want to be on that. I came to Skidmore early decision. My parents pay full amount and I don't do drugs. I don't want to be, I want to be on campus. Like, well, we can't help you with that. So it was that, Max, that made me say, well, screw it. I'm going to start looking at schools to transfer. And then I ended up going to American University. And see, that's something that happened. I sort of took control of the situation and I changed it. But if I ended up, think about it, Max, if I end up getting my sophomore year a dorm on campus, I probably would have never known better. There's things more enjoyable out there.
Mhm.
I never known better more that I liked a different school more in the city. I never would have left Skidmore. I never would have met my wife. I probably would not have been, I would not be sitting here doing this Zoom with you. I would not be in South Florida. So there's some things that you just have no control of that that's part of the ingredients that brings you to your journey of where I'm sitting here today, that you met me through daddy issues. You know what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say? So,
Yeah.
so it's funny because my wife went to school in DC, a girl that I was great friends with, ended up working with my wife in Manhattan's the one that introduced us on a blind date. But she didn't go to Skidmore, she went to American. So my point is, so you see how things work out. So there's some things not within our control, but it's what we do with it that creates these opportunities and these situations. So could college help you meet people and do help you get you someplace quicker? Possibly. But who knows? Look at the situation I just explained, how I ended up where I am.
Yeah.
Life changes on a dime. What if I said, all right, I'll do this dorm 1 year, big deal, and I stayed at Skidmore. I wouldn't be talking to you right now. My boys wouldn't be born. I wouldn't be in Florida. It's crazy how those things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't had any big experiences like that. I mean, there has been a couple, but not like that, where it completely changed the track of my life. But yeah, everything happens for a reason. And it's crazy how that
I do
works out.
believe that, but right, you're 19, so you have your whole life ahead of you. So
Yeah.
But just very interesting how these things happen. Like, daddy issues developed because my father passed away in June. And I said to Bronson, you know what, I don't have much footage of my father, and we should videotape things. And then one day we're driving home from California. We were there for a month. Me, Nell, who we just saw, and Bronson, we're driving cross country, listen to a podcast. I've never ever, Max, listen to a podcast ever. I don't even listen to my own podcast because I just don't have time, right?
Mhm.
So, and we're listening to it. We're doing a 12-day road trip cross country. Great time with my wife and Bronson. And I'm like, we're listening to this podcast. And I go, people do this? I go, yeah. I go, and the people listen to this? I go, we could do this. I go, they don't, between us. So he said, let's do it. And that's how it happened. You just never
Yeah.
know. What if we flew back and I had my car shipped because we were in LA for a month and we didn't drive back? Maybe we would never have the conversation. If we never
Yeah.
had that conversation, we would not have daddy issues. We would not be speaking right now. You don't know. You don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy because, yeah, I've had a recent experience in my life that made me change the way I look at things. Like I said in that quote earlier, that patience is a virtue, but I sort of contradict that saying later on. Unfortunately, I watched somebody go into cardiac arrest after golfing, and that person ended up passing away.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, but but besides, that really made me, stand back and be like, whoa, like that's how fragile life is.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna get to something eventually, but it's just I want to do things now, and that was like that really made me be like, you don't know how much time you have left. So the reason why I asked you what do you think the value of a college degree is, because I'm in that sort of conundrum right now. I'm 19, and I see this actually. Luckily, I feel like I see a lot of young entrepreneurs online recently who go out and start their own businesses, and they drop out of college sometimes. And I guess I asked Kurt, my last guest, the same question. I was like, so what would you do if you were in my situation? I'm 19. I'm going to community college right now for mechanical engineering. I was taking 2 classes this semester because it's online and you don't learn anything. Excuse me. And I have my own business. I don't make a bunch of money, not enough to support myself yet. And I'm working for a hardwood flooring guy 3 days a week. So if you were me, would you stay in college? And because I was thinking about changing my degree to business administration. And to be completely honest with you, it's because it's easier to get through and I'll have a college degree at the end. Whereas engineering takes a lot more time and energy because of all the math and calculus and things like classes like that. So what sort of advice would you have for somebody like me? And I honestly, I think there's a lot of other people that are in a similar situation, not liking college and not knowing what to do.
Okay. It's a very valid question and a very valid concern and unknown. So I get it and I respect it because I was your age and I have kids your age and older. So I understand your, what do I do? I don't know. And the ambivalence. I get it. But I'm going to talk to you as a adult, as a father, and as a successful person, okay, in many different ways in my life. And I've had my failures. I've had my regrets and my ups and downs, but overall I feel very fortunate and successful. Okay. I would tell you 110% stay in college. You're young enough now. Get this crap out of the way now. You have your whole life to work, your whole life. Okay. So learn, take advantage of the education now, get it. It will not harm you. It will only help you. Secondly, if you're good at math and you want to become an engineer, which is amazing, I would stay with the mechanical engineer because just because the business might be easier, that's not a reason to do it. If that's what you see the better future for you, you bust your ass now, you put the time in now while you're young, I assume you're living at home, right?
Yeah.
While your expenses are the lowest they'll ever be, your parents, I'm sure, will help you have a roof over your head. You're not married, you don't have children. Do not take the easy way out. Do not. Nothing comes good out of taking the easy way out. When you earn your degree and if you go and you continue mechanical engineering, you'll look back and be very proud of yourself that you earned it. It creates self-empowerment, and you'll know that no one can ever take it away from you, and you'll know that there's nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it. But there's no doubt in my mind you should finish school. You continue if need to. I'd rather see you take more classes and not work the next couple of years if you can, if your parents will allow that, just so you can get it out of the way and behind you, because you have your whole life ahead of you to work. And if you got to stay in community college, you stay in community college until you can transfer over to a 4-year school, and you transfer over after 2 years so you can get your 4-year degree from a more sustainable college that's going to help you catapult you into a better job. That's what you do. But there's no doubt in my mind that before you know you're 26 years old, it goes by with like a blink, and you're going to say, damn it, I should have finished college. Because once you don't finish college, you're limited. But when you do finish college, it's limitless what you can do. And as for starting a business, I get it. I understand that people, you believe in yourself. I get it. You want to start your business, but there's nothing. Why don't you do both? You go to college and start your business at night. When I was working for the big law firm, I started my own little law practice in the evening. I was up till midnight. Right now, it's 9:42 right now. And before the Zoom call, I'm still doing work, literally doing contracts right here. Because even someone like me at the age of 54 who is successful, and I don't need to do this work right now, I'm still working. I still work 12, 14-hour days. Why? Because the only way to become successful, the only way to be good at what you do, for people to know you have their back, for you to know you can accomplish anything, for you to make money and save money, is there's no easy way out. It all comes from hard work. So to answer your question in a nutshell, stay in school, finish it. You'll look back in 4 years, you'll thank me. That's my advice. And you know what? You know what, Max? It's not supposed to be fun and easy.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Vacation is fun and easy.
Yeah.
The weekends are fun and easy. Work is work. Whether you're in school, you're working. I don't care. It's hard. But if it wasn't hard, then what's going to separate you from everybody else? I'm going to tell you, like I tell my kids, there's Indians and chiefs. You want to be a chief? Great. If you want to be an Indian, great. Then it's easy being an Indian. But that's okay, whatever you want to be. But I'm not an Indian, I'm a chief. I don't raise Indians, I raise chiefs. So if you want to be that Indian, there's nothing wrong with this. There's no shame in it, but you have to be happy with it. You can't say I want to be an Indian, but I want to drive a fancy car. You can't say I want to be an Indian, but I want to give my kids better school and better medicine. You can't say you want to be an Indian and say I want to take vacations for, and stay in fancy. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work both ways. You bust your ass now, you pay now to play later, or you play now and trust me, you pay later. It doesn't work both ways. There's no shortcut.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. I think you just convinced me to stay in college.
Listen, Max, I am telling you, there is no shortcuts. The only thing I know for certain is, like I said, you put the effort in now and it pays off in the long run. You don't put the effort in now, and I'm telling you, it doesn't. You're screwed when you're older.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw this clip of Elon Musk, who I sort of idolize. I like him.
He's a god. He's a god. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The guy is brilliant. Brilliant.
I have invested in Dogecoin. But anyways, he said that if you think you have a good business idea and you're in college, run with the business. And that's what he said.
But it's easy for him to say because he's worth billions. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
He's an entrepreneur. Yeah. But why can't you go to college and do your business? Why is it gotta be one or the other?
Yeah. Like,
you don't start with a marathon. I'm a big runner. You don't start with a marathon by running 10 miles your first day. You run a mile the first day. You gotta build up to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, that's some cool stuff. Yeah, I mean, I saw that, and that what really made me rethink things. And then I'm tying back to how much time you have left. That's kind of depressing, but like that's sort of why I'd want to start my business now and instead of 3 years in the future. But after what you said, I completely agree with you. And it makes a lot of sense. because
Max, start your business while you're in school. Do both.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was doing so I went full time for a year, and that was 2019 to 2020 spring, so fall 2019, spring of 2020, and we went online. And I was full in mechanical engineering, like taking 5 classes, 14 credits, each semester, there at the library till 11 o'clock studying with my friends, getting stuff done. And then we went online, and it really discouraged me. I hated it. I'm like, I'm paying, which is nothing. I'm paying $10,000 a year for this crap. Like, it's not worth it. And then I transferred and I was at a 4-year college then. I was at the University of Rhode Island. And then I transferred to the Community College of Rhode Island because I'm like, it's going to be online again this fall. It's not worth the money they're charging.
Listen, I get it, but you're still going to get the degree.
Yeah.
I'm talking as if I was talking to my son.
Mhm.
I would go back to the 4-year school, go full time, even if it's online, get your degree. That's what I would do, 110%. If I was talking like I was talking to my son Burke, look, I'm spending $75,000 a year for him to go to USC, and he does not have one class. He lives in LA. He does not have one class in person, and I'm spending $75,000. Okay, so my point is, but he's still going to get his degree. Maybe it'll open up. Who knows? But I'm telling you right now, go get your degree. If you stick with it, the age of 22, you'll have your 4-year degree, and you'll get your job mechanical engineer, and you'll build yourself. My first job as a lawyer was $35,000. First job, 35 grand. Waiters made more money than I did, but I paid my dues.
Mhm.
My second job was 75 grand. My third job was 115,000. I moved to Florida, and I gave that up, and I made no money for 2 years because I believed in myself and I invested in myself. But I worked for somebody for 4 years to learn what it's like to be a lawyer, to bust my butt. It doesn't happen overnight. And if you believe in yourself and keep working, it works out. But get that degree. I'm telling you, buddy.
Yeah. 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 Cause I mean, I definitely have confidence in myself and my business. My business model is something that doesn't happen overnight. It's not like one of these viral sensations, like a fidget spinner that just happens overnight. It's something that has to be built upon over years. You need to build a customer base. Basically I do like prototyping along those lines, and design things for people in CAD software like SolidWorks, and then 3D print it and give it to them. So it's prototyping like that. The only thing about that is the customer base is not massive. There's people out there that need it, and you only need 10, and you can have a very successful business because they pay a lot of money each customer. So
let me tell you what I see, okay? Because I deal with people all the time. So I have no doubt in my mind you're going to become successful. I deal with people all day long. I'm 54. The fact that you are in school, you're doing your podcast, you work in the flooring business as a part-time job, you have your 3D printing, you have a business that you want to do, that you have the foresight to see how you're going to build it. That's more than most kids in their mid-20s do. Okay, you speak intelligently and articulate. You're going to be successful. I guarantee it. There's no doubt. You're not afraid of hard work. I could tell about you're not afraid of hard work. So finish school. You'll go out there, start your business, or you'll get a job. People will see that. They'll want to deal with you. And then in 10 years from now, you can look back and say, I'm so glad I did what I did. It doesn't happen overnight. Success does not happen overnight. It just doesn't happen. When you hear about these crazy stories of what's going on social media and this bullshit stuff, these are 1 in a billion. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it's like Vegas. No one tells you they lost in Vegas. They'll tell you they won, but I'm telling you, they'll lose because the casinos are multi-billion-dollar business. If everyone was winners, they'd be out of business. So just keep doing what you're doing. Finish school, get your degree in mechanical engineer, and you're going to be successful.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. That's some good reassuring stuff there, and I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, so I guess I want to talk a little bit more about you, and so you've been in law for how many years now?
I'd say about 29, maybe.
Okay. And how many years have you had your own business?
Um, 26.
Okay.
26. But remember, even when I was working up in New York as a young lawyer, I started my own law firm. I worked at night, and like
Yeah.
I lived in an apartment, and it was apartment 4G, and
Yeah.
I created my own letterhead. I called it Suite 4G when I sent out my law letterhead.
So there's a good question for you. So people that have businesses usually deal with people that work 9 to 5. How would you run a business and do all the work at 10 o'clock at night and midnight?
Because I would do my legal work at night, and then when I worked for that big firm, if I had a court hearing on one of my own matters, I would um I would ask that person who did the calendars for my court hearings to book them on certain days for me, so when I know I can go to the same courthouse, whether it was the Bronx, Staten Island, or Manhattan, or Queens, to go to the same time when I would have a court hearing on my own personal matter, and I would do both at the same time. And then I opened up a separate phone line. Back then we had beepers. We didn't have cell phones or anything. This is way before you were born.
Yeah.
We had beepers and answering service. So I got an answering service, and for like $30 a month, and they would answer, Law Officer Jonathan Bloom. So my current employer wouldn't know. Then they would beep me, and then I would go to a phone and call the client back during the day.
Oh, are you a fan of Breaking Bad at all?
I did not. I never watched that. I
Oh
heard
man,
great things about it, but I never watched it.
I don't know. You gotta watch. You gotta see Saul Goodman. Better Call Saul. You gotta see that.
I never watched that either. You know, it's very. I don't watch much TV. I get into bed
Yeah.
at maybe an hour and a half at nighttime to unwind, but I don't watch.
Yeah.
Much TV.
Yeah. I know. Like the only sort of knowledge I have of that sort of business is from the movies. What's that movie called? You Can't Handle the Truth with what's his name?
Oh, that's
Jack Nicholson.
Is that A Few Good Men?
Yes. Yeah, that's Tom Cruise.
Yeah, but
And
the movies are phony. It doesn't happen. Like all the law shows, it doesn't happen that way. So
yeah.
that's all just for shock value. Don't let that teach you, because that's not true.
Yeah. Well, that's what I heard about Better Call Saul, and that show, not Breaking Bad, is that it was actually like more accurate towards how things usually are. I don't know. You'd have to watch the show, but that's what I heard.
Listen, you know what when you're out there in the real world and life experiences, that becomes a great teacher for you, and you'll see the way things are in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah. Because honestly, I think a lot of lawyers get bad raps. A lot of because I've worked with a lot of people who have worked their whole lives. Like they just graduated high school, started working. I worked at a waste services company, and I worked with people who literally have done that for 20 years, and that's really all they've known. And they think that like their boss and people like you didn't work. Like it just happened. It's like they say, oh, this guy, he takes all the money. He takes all of it. They see the invoice that they give to the customer, and they see, wow, my boss is getting all that money. And it's like, really? Like, you don't understand how it works.
But that's a human mentality, and
Yeah.
a certain person, that's an employee mentality. They don't realize the investment that that I took, or an employer takes, business owner, the outlay, the risk, where you took a loan to do that, whether you quit your job and you gave up that income, you got to buy the furniture, you got to answer the phones. I didn't make money for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
So when people have that mentality, that's the victim mentality that I talked about at the beginning. That's the entitlement mentality. You know what? There'll always be Indians. There'll always be a disgruntled employee. They'll always be jealous. That's just the way it is, because they only think it's easy when things are good. Now, there's times in business where months are bad. There's times when clients don't pay you. There's times when things get tough. And when that happens, are the employees saying, hey, I'll chip in then. Let me contribute. Yeah. They still want their raises. They still want their bonuses. They still want their salaries. So it's just a mentality. And as an employer, I don't care about that stuff. I've staffed good staff, you have bad staff, you have different personalities. It's their own crap they have to deal with. So I don't care about that.
Yeah. How many employees do you have?
I have 8 people.
Okay. Because that's another thing we talked about on my last episode is knowing how to hire the right people. And this is for, the business owners that are a little bit further off, obviously people like you or people who have been in business for like 10 years. What would you give in terms of hiring people advice? So,
You
yeah.
got to go with your gut instinct because sometimes you're just going to weed people out. You're going to think you chose the right person. It's going to come back and bite you in the rear end. You have to meet with them, speak to their prior employer, and just go with a gut feeling. And then you'll know. I always know in 2 weeks if the person's going to be able to handle it or not. So
Yeah.
if they last 2 weeks, they're usually pretty good. But people come into these jobs with their different personalities, their upbringing. Getting good staff is not easy. I weeded out a lot of staff. Um, I'm not the easiest to work for. I'm easy in the sense where you know where I stand, but I'm very demanding. Um, but I think it just takes there's no right formula, just a little bit of luck and going with your gut instinct, and hopefully it works out. And knowing when to get rid of them. You got to know when to get rid of your employee, that bad employee. A bad employee can upset the entire office. It's not worth it.
Yeah. I know this is a weird comparison, but I see that a lot in like sports and baseball. It's sort of the same thing, but like I remember the first person I heard about like that was like, well, obviously Alex Rodriguez, but like AJ Pierzynski, who was a catcher. Like apparently he was a douchebag in the clubhouse, and the whole team suffered from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this. Imagine hanging out with 6 of your buddies and one of them's a moron.
Yeah.
You really you want to hang? You want that group? I mean, when you're at work, you're at work with these people for 8-10 hours a day. If there's personalities that don't work, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no right formula. You just have to, just a lot of instinct, I think.
Just experience from knowing people and being around for a long time, I
And
guess.
you'll see if they work. If they work or not. If they work out, you'll know. I've always known the first 2-3 weeks.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess one of my last questions for you, we're just about up to an hour now. If this was your last thing that you could share to the world, what advice would you give? Like anything. Like what is like your quote that you go by every day? So I know it's a loaded question, but
I would think if I had to sum it up, I would say, love your family. Don't sweat the small stuff because when you're on your deathbed, it doesn't matter. And live life. We have good memories, good times, and good friends. And that's what I would think is the most important thing in living your life.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I I can't believe I'm talking to you. This has been awesome because I've just been watching you guys on the podcast for the past few months, and I've enjoyed every episode. You guys are hilarious. And honestly, you guys are what sort of inspired me to start the podcast.
Oh, good.
And uh, seeing, hearing your story from the podcast, and I figured, you know what, screw it. I know quite a few local business owners that would love to do it, and I said, I'm just gonna do it. I bought like these mics, and they work. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt, but I get it to work. And I really appreciate you coming on. I couldn't be more thankful. And you're a very smart person who knows a lot, and I'm glad you shared all your knowledge with my 10 listeners, but I don't know. We'll see if I get more.
Hey, Max, we started off with 2 listeners, my wife and 3, my wife and my 2 kids.
Yeah.
So first of all, thank you so much for the kind words, and thank you for thinking of me to allow me to be on your podcast. And I'm very, very proud of you. And I think you're doing a
Thank you.
great job. And as I said earlier, I have no doubt you're gonna kick ass and take no prisoners. You're gonna do really well. And on a we appreciate you being a loyal listener and follower and a Patreon member. And I want you to know that you have my email address. So if you ever have any questions, you can always email me. You can call me. You can say, "Do you have a minute? Can we Zoom?" You know what I'm saying? I'm here for you, buddy. It's my pleasure. What makes Bronson and I, we love our group of our listeners and our followers, and how we can help people and make a difference in this world. And so even though we speak our minds and what most people think but are afraid to say, what really fuels us and energizes us to keep doing what we're doing is that we are helping people and we're making a difference. And if we can make a difference and help you or other people, if I'm busy, I'll tell you, let me call you back, but we're here for you, buddy. It's no problem.
Yeah, no, yeah. Thank you. Honestly, I'm so glad that I started my own business because I've met a lot of people that I never would have met if it wasn't for that. And if I went out of business tomorrow, you know, a lot of the things that I've learned would last forever. So,
That's
I,
excellent.
yeah. So, I mean, I'm part of this BNI. I don't know if you ever heard of that. So
Oh, that's a networking group?
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
did that when I was younger. I did that. I
yeah.
know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good.
So it's sort of tough for my industry. I just wanted to do it because I was looking at some other parts like promotional items like those phone stands I sent you. But now I'm moving towards the prototypes and stuff like that because it is a little bit more money and it's nicer to get those bigger orders. But the people I've met through that are amazing. And, it's just the price of admission of starting your own business, you know, the people you meet are what makes it, and it's just, I think, awesome. And they'll last with me forever. And especially some of the stuff you've told me today.
Well,
So
good. That
yeah,
means a lot to me. That means a lot to me.
yeah. So, awesome. So I think I'm just going to close out today's episode. And if you know anybody else that would maybe want to hop on a Zoom call and do something like this, that'd be great. But maybe you could even visit our BNI group and network a little bit more.
Well, if you get listen,
And
if you give me, a week or so and drop me an email, say, John, just a reminder, do you have anybody that would want to come on my podcast? I have plenty of people that would do me the favor and come on your podcast. Absolutely.
cool. Yeah. Cause and our BNI group is awesome. We have like 40 members. It's actually one of the biggest in the country and actually in the world. We
Wow.
pass over $7 million of business to each other. I haven't
Wow.
contributed that much, but there are people in there that have definitely benefited from it and a lot
Very
of great
nice.
people in there. So,
Good.
but yeah, awesome. Well, like I said, I appreciate you coming on and, yeah, so awesome. This has been great. So for any questions regarding the podcast, email me at knowledgeispowerri@gmail.com. Make sure to check out Bloom and Freeling Attorney at Law in Boca Raton, Florida. And yeah, that's about it, guys. So thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.